told you that tarot cards could make your D&D sessions more mysterious, immersive, and dramatic. And there's a full spread of ways that you can use them in your sessions and campaigns. Not to mention that you'll finally find a use for that tarot deck you got in that Kickstarter that's just languishing on your game shelf gathering dust. It's fine, it happened to me too. I'm Janet, a professional game writer and the co-founder of Worldbuilding, and today we're talking about tarot in D&D. So buckle up my friends, because this one has everything. Fate, fortune, and a little bit of spooky chaos. Tarot and tabletop gaming isn't a new combo. They've been in a secret relationship for decades and it's time we talked about it. The Deck of Many Things, that legendary stalwart of D&D, is essentially a tarot deck with chaos and extraordinary powers. Players might get treasure, they might get death, they might gain the ability to press Ctrl-Z on reality, or get yeeted into an extra-dimensional prison. And they show up in Curse of Strahd, one of the most beloved modules ever. At the start of the campaign, Madame Ava reads the cards, and the results randomize the location of powerful items and where Strahd's weaknesses lie. In the Curse of Strahd, the cards literally change your fate from running to running. From Pathfinder's Harrow deck to Jester's Oracle deck in Critical Role, to games that use tarot as a core resolution mechanic, tarot is everywhere in D&D. Because the decks are beautiful, and they can enrich your setting with so much. Mysticism, vibrancy, unpredictability, and some juicy gothic vibes. But unless your game specifically calls for a tarot deck, it can be hard to know what to do with one. Sometimes you just need a little guidance, which is where I come in. This video goes through a bunch of different ways you can incorporate tarot into your gameplay. But maybe you're wondering, why would you want to? I mean, I have dice. You have dice. Oh, so many dice. So why add cards to the mix? Well, a 20-sided dice, even a pretty one, is just a number. But a prophetic figure, an illustrated card, slammed face up on the table, that's a drastic event. The cards have evocative names. They signal to your players something major is happening. Something fated. Even the prettiest dice just can't do that. So it's time to grab that pretty tarot deck you have, because we're going to examine the cards. A standard tarot deck is made of the Major Arcana and the Minor Arcana, a total of 78 cards. The Minor Arcana is pretty much a regular playing card deck. There are 4 suits, and each one has numbers 1 to 10. There are a few differences. In tarot, the suits are called wands, cups, swords, and pentacles. That's very D&D, right? There's also an extra face card. The page, the knight, the queen, and the king, instead of the regular 3. So that's the Minor Arcana. Easy, right? Now the Major Arcana. These are the fancy picture cards with the portentous names. Death, the devil, the fool, and so on. There are 22 Major Arcana cards, and they're all numbered, which is very helpful for D&D, as we'll see later. If you're looking at your cards and that's not what you're seeing, you might not have a tarot deck. You might have an Oracle deck. That's basically a free-form tarot deck. They're deeply thematic and custom designed, like the Major Arcana on steroids. You can still use them for your game in a bunch of ways. How? Well, let's talk mechanics. These are just some of the ways you can use your tarot deck or your Oracle deck in your RPG game tonight. To set the mood and theme of session, start your game night by drawing a single card from your deck and showing it to your players. Describe how they come across it. Maybe a vision, a dream, or a prophecy. Maybe one reaches into their pocket, and that's what they find. Then, let it sit on the table, mysterious and threatening. And watch your players spend the entire session trying to figure out what it means. They will theorize, they will spiral. It will be delicious. And of course, this card should have real power in your session. If you pull the devil, someone's bonds are coming back to bite them. Or hell, literal imps might show up. The Knight of Cups might be a knight who's lost their love, or a drunken paladin in need of redemption. And a simple number card, say 6, might show up as the number of mooks they fight, the hour they meet someone, or the number of times a bell chimes in the distance. These tiny details feel resonant and ominous. They'll spook your players in all the right ways. Add the card to your Worldbuilding session notes, so if it comes back, it can come back with a vengeance. Tarot cards are divination tools imbued with centuries of cultural meaning. So for certain foes, or in certain locations, you might use them to replace your D20s. How do you do it? Well, the Major Arcana of a tarot deck has numbers 0 to 21. So it's like a D20 with a bit of juicy bonus. Shuffle just the Major Arcana deck and let them pick a card instead of rolling a dice. For an epic battle fighting a boss witch, you can let them have that bonus 21, or remove it if you don't want them to have 2 bites at the critical success. And on that 0, well, maybe the villain gets an extra turn. Let the PCs know there's something even worse than a critical fail. Now, I'm not suggesting you do this for an entire game, but it certainly makes one dungeon or one encounter deeply memorable and packed with genre flavour. It's a short-term thematic change that'll make your players sit up straighter and lean in. Or for a different kind of encounter, say a replacement for a riddle or puzzle, present a guardian, an enchanted statue or a door, and use a minor arcana card draw. The GM and player draw 3 cards and pick the one they think is strongest. Highest card wins, and to break a tie, go with the suit that thematically matches the challenge. But if you're loyal to those shiny math rocks, there's still a way to use tarot in skill checks. As complications. Complications are a common mechanic in other RPGs, and they can be fun in D&D too. Here's how to do it. On a portentous or important roll, you decide which those are, have a player draw a card. After they've rolled. This determines a complication, but think of it as a yes you succeeded, but, or a no you failed, and it's even worse than you thought. Use the suit to theme your victory. Swords might be a Pyrrhic victory. You won, but at what cost? The guy might be back for revenge. The guards are after you, or perhaps you woke a sleeping dragon. Cups might mean an emotional or health cost, a level of exhaustion, a poisoned condition, or maybe they've now pissed off their god, patron, or the quest giver. Pentacles can mean money lost or a favour owed. Costly equipment is broken, a ripped money purse is only discovered later, or a lost treasured item. Pro tip, you don't need to let players know exactly what happened right away. You can let it hang and bite them in the butt later. Wands could mean a curse or an unexpected magical effect. The thin end of the wedge, it's really hard to sneak when you can't stop giggling, just saying, but you can use more serious conditions too. I mean, who knows what gross microbes those undead things were carrying. Now, I don't recommend you use a complication for every roll. It'll slow down your game. But it can be great for death strikes, risky rolls, or dramatic story moments. Or simply if you want to introduce some tension. Drawing from a deck in a high-stakes moment, knowing a complication is coming, can be electric. It can even be a payoff for the omen card you drew at the beginning of the session. Or instead of complications, you can add boons and twists. This is a fun one taken from my own gaming table. On a critical fail, every player draws a card. Players keep the boons, the numbered cards, and royals. We have a little system where they can use these later to bolster their rolls, re-roll, or get an instant success on certain skill checks. Sharing the system with your players on Worldbuilding makes it super quick to reference whenever they need to, without asking you every time. But all the major arcana goes to the GM. Those are the twists, and they're coming back to haunt the players. As a GM, you can be open about which card is which catastrophic event or which big bad evil guy. It really reinforces the themes. I love this method because it keeps tarot cards front and centre in our game, but it keeps things balanced. Both GM and players get fun things to do. I offer this idea as tribute. You could totally tweak it and use it in your own way. Of course, the classic way to use tarot is with a fortune teller NPC. Let the players sit across the table from a mysterious old woman who lays 3 cards and tells them their futures, and then make it come true in unexpected ways. In one of our games, Hecate, the ancient Greek goddess of magic and witchcraft, showed up. She read fortunes, she gave out a little piece of poetry with each card, essentially a small prophecy, and that created spoopy, mystic things which eventually happened to the players. The look on their faces will be worth every second of prep. If you choose to do this, reward players who pay attention. Throw them an inspiration point if they spot a prophecy coming true before you have to point it out. Of course, prophecies and omens really only work when people remember them. So keep a note in your session notes on World Anvil and encourage players to add them to their character articles or player journals so they remain impactful. After all, prophecies that no one remembers are just crappy poetry. And then you have in-world card games. Perfect for taverns, gambling dens, and hives of scum and villainy. A game of chance is a great way to set vibes, and a really beautiful tarot deck does that in spades. No pun intended. For this, you'll use your minor arcana. It essentially contains the same cards as a poker deck, and the simplest way to do that is just remove the major arcana and those extra face cards. If you want to keep it simple, play a regular game like poker or blackjack with beautiful thematic cards. And it's not just filler. Maybe the party needs to raise funds for a resurrection spell, or they're using the card game to suss out a suspect NPC. Oh, and by the way, I am definitely not recommending that you turn this into an in-world drinking game and make them all make constitution saves. Nor should you let your bard play strip poker. Nope. That wouldn't be hilarious at all. If you're feeling adventurous, there are tons of real-world games that use a full tarot deck, if you want to teach one your players. The world is your oyster. And finally, to the victor, the spoils. A tarot card can theme which loot your PCs find. Higher numbered cards mean more gold coins. A face card might bring a twist, a curse, or a magic crown. Wands create magic items, swords conjure rare weapons, cups add potions to your haul, and pentacles are scrolls. You can even add unusual boons and blessings. Maybe a patron or deity is pleased with the party's actions, or they've divinely pissed someone off. The sun might be advantage on your next social encounter. The hanged man, delay the consequences of your next critical fail. Death, maybe the player wakes up sensitive to light, garlic, and the smell of blood. Well, you decide. And as an extra world-building bonus, you could totally create your own in-world version of the major arcana, linked to your setting's pantheon and history. Create a custom article for your in-world deck on World Anvil. Define each card, its symbolism, and its in-universe history. Make your tarot a living part of your world-building, rather than a prop you brought online, and your players' minds will explode. So how are you going to use that tarot deck gathering dust? Or maybe you have another method you prefer. Share it in the comments. Oh, and please like and subscribe while you're down there. It really helps. And if you're a fan of all things mysterious and spoopy, you could really transform your next session by sending your players to a ghost town. Click the video to go there next, and I'll show you how to craft the creepiest abandoned settlements of your players' nightmares and integrate them into your stories. I'll see you over there. But in the meantime, grab your portentous hammer and go world build.